Hey there, St. Peter's, and anyone else who may be viewing this midweek message. Always good to reach out to you in this way. This is Paul. Some of you call me Pastor Paul, others just Paul, Reverend Paul, but it's Paul. And I'm grateful to get to reach out to you and be with you in this way. I don't know about you, but I have been sort of in this blitz of online kind of platforms for the past few months. And I sit through a lot of conference calls using Zoom or FaceTime or any number of platforms that are out there. And, I am probably someone who has committed every faux pas that you possibly could. I've been that person, who probably gets way too close to the camera, thinking that this is how we converse, but we don't really stand this close to each other or sit this close to each other when we talk. And so you're probably thinking, whoa, back up, Paul, back up. So I've definitely been that person. I've been the person who, thinks you can't hear me on the conversation. And so I begin to talk much louder, thinking that you can hear me now. Again, not the fix, but it's something that I've definitely probably done to more than one person. I've been the person who types way too loud on their keyboard, forgetting to hit my mute button and clearly sending the signal that I am dual tasking or multitasking while I'm supposed to be in a meeting. I'm also doing other things as well. People know that I'm using my hands for something else. So hands have definitely been on my mind this week because another thing I've noticed when I watch back a lot, the replay on a lot of these videos, I use my hands a lot. They're just an extension of who I am. It's how I express myself. And so hands, I see how I use them, and it's been on my mind, and I've been thinking about it. And we've been focusing as a culture a lot on our hands, right? In recent months, we've been incredibly aware, maybe more aware than ever before, of our hands. We wash them, kind of feverishly, carefully, thoroughly. Make sure to get our thumbs in between the fingers, under the fingernails. Make sure 20 seconds with warm water, because that's what the medical professionals tell us. We notice what our hands have touched, and we remind ourselves, don't touch your nose, don't touch your eyes, don't touch your mouth with your hands. We hide our hands in gloves when we go to the supermarket or some other public place. We use our hands to wave goodbye or hello to someone from a safe distance. And, we probably find ourselves folding them in prayer more often maybe than we're accustomed to doing in a normal day, asking God, when is this pandemic season going to end so that we can use our hands to embrace people that we know and love, friends and neighbors and loved ones. I don't know about you, but I find myself noticing other people's hands much more than before as well. We wonder, I wonder what they've been touching. I wonder where their hands have been. And sometimes we avoid making any contact with their hands. We can imagine extending our arms, our hands, and then we can imagine another extending their arms toward us without the two sets of hands touching, in order to carve out a safe distance between us. So yeah, I've been thinking a lot about hands. And I love when God takes something, kind of silly like hands and my thoughts about hands, and then it kind of helps me to see Scripture in a different way. And so I've been looking at Scriptures for Pentecost, which is this next Sunday. And in doing so, I've been reading Scriptures on Ascension, the ascension of Jesus into heaven, because those Scriptures are customarily preached on a Sunday leading up to Pentecost. And so I've been kind of sitting and marinating in those texts as well. And, what has stood out to me in this reading is the last thing that Jesus did before he left this earth was to raise up his hands. to lift them up in blessing for his followers, for his disciples, for women, for men who were all sort of huddled together around him on that hilltop outside that village of Bethany. And honestly, I found it refreshing. I found it just really kind of invigorating and nice to focus on just a part of the ascension event, on something as simple as Jesus's hands, rather than trying to comprehend or understand or dissect or exegete the entirety of the ascension event. So hands, yeah, thinking a lot about it. Gets lifted out of scripture, and then I find myself walking into Trader Joe's earlier this week as well, and the Montessori Academy is in the same parking lot as the Trader Joe's here in Palos Verdes, and Maria Montessori, was the founder of that school, and one of her sayings was kind of on a poster outside of that academy, and it said simply this: what the hand does, the mind remembers. I liked that. What the hand does, the mind remembers. Now, of course, she's talking about education and learning. And so hands-on learning, she's arguing, is not just a method. It is an entire way of being. It's an entire philosophy. You live into it, and out of it, you're all in or not. And it got me thinking that what works for the classroom sort of works for the life of faith as well. And so I want you to take a moment and I want you to notice your hands. I mean, literally, just put them out in front of you and look at these hands that God has given you. The fronts, the backs, look at them. And I don't know how you find yourselves most days, but I know that a lot of people are we're finding ourselves with clenched fists, sort of stressed or agitated or just kind of reaching a tipping point, or we've had enough. And so we find ourselves with clenched fists. I want you to think about, how you use your hands in each day, how you used them 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, an hour ago, how you've used them throughout this day, how you're going to use them tomorrow and this week. And then again, return to, clenched fists. Not a great way to be able to use your hands. And so I want to encourage you to breathe deep. And then exhale. And as you do so, I want you to kind of just slowly unclench your fists. Just release and let go. And unclench your fists. Because I think that when we do that, when we let our hands and our mind and our heart unclench and release and let go, it then enables us to reach out to others, to help, to be the church in someone else's life. Just as Christ's final act on earth was to raise his hands to bless us, we can do likewise. We can do likewise. It's a little thing. It's a little detail in a much larger story. It's a small gesture in a much grander scheme of a world in need and full of challenges. But we gotta trust. We gotta trust that it's enough. That we are enough. Christ still raises his hands toward us, toward you, as a blessing and as a commissioning, as a calling and as a sending. And this act of raising hands, of blessing, of giving and receiving, of sending, it's got to be important. It's got to be important. It has to be something that Christ wants us to imitate, because we believe, right, that he's got the whole world in his hands. And so I need your help. We need your help. We need you to lend us a hand right here, right now. In the next 24 hours, you're going to receive a link to an online survey. It's simply from your leadership of the church asking you to partner with us in responding to this survey. 12 simple questions, should take 5 minutes of your time, but it's basically letting us know how you are feeling about phasing back into in-person community life here at St. Peter's. The guidelines are being relaxed and released, and we are able to start thinking about what that can look like. And your leadership, though our campus remains closed for the foreseeable future, we are thinking and praying and discerning how to responsibly open our campus back up when it is good for us to do so for us, for those most vulnerable among us, and certainly for the world around us and the community around us. And so we need your help. We need a helping hand right now. If you could please just turn that survey around very quickly, have it back to us by June the 1st. It will help us, in our discernment work, in our decision making. We need your voice. We need your hands to be a part of this discernment process with us. As we continue to navigate this season together, we do so walking hand in hand. And, that's sort of more metaphorical right now, but certainly we do so heart to heart, with our hearts engaged, leaning toward God and leaning toward one another and leaning toward this world that God so deeply loves. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for times even such as these, when God indeed is desiring to do something new and inviting us to be a part of it. And so, St. Peter's, I hope that we will say, yes, God, we want to be a part of it together. God bless y'all, and have a great evening.